Hello there, Mike the MC, bringing another self-care video. Today I'm going to continue off with Saint Hildegard of Bingen, talking about one thing that really resonated with me with respect to her teaching. And so I kind of forgot to mention this in the previous video about Saint Hildegard, but basically she's a doctor of the church and the Catholic faith, and she's very famous for her music and composition of plays, but then combining that with her scientific ability and her love for Herbalife, or I forget the term for people who like to work with plants and vegetation, right? That kind of thing, because she liked to work with medicines and all sorts of, like a pharmacist. And so she was a pharmacist and a music composer in a way to really summarize her lifestyle of growing up. But the thing was, her works reflect those two skills in a unique way where it's easy to understand creation and how things work in life. And I want to share with you the original virus that plagued humanity, and it's still present, but it is beaten, and that we can overcome it with respect to our awareness of what we can do. And so I'll share with you, with her writing, her work, what the original virus is. And this is very interesting. And I thought, I was just reading this today, that the original virus was sin, when Adam and Eve had the apple at the tree. But let me share with you what she's alluding to. So the power of death in the world was continually increased by the spread of the vices, and the consciousness of humanity became all the more entwined in the diversity of many vices which broke out in the horror of putrid sins. And so the thing is, this darkness, it grew and it spread throughout the land that she's alluding to. This darkness was the loss of a connection with our Lord. And the more that humanity lost our innocence, the more we started to think about evil sins, intentions, and actions, the more gullible we became with following into vice and sin. And so think about that. People say, oh, you're so gullible, and they'll make fun of you. But the thing is, we're all gullible to sin. See, that's how lame we are as a species, humanity, because we're so susceptible to falling into vice. And so what the saints like Saint Hildegard are alluding to is, okay, how to break that silence of that connection with God. How do we break free of the darkness and communicate with our Lord through all of the vices? And so what she alludes to in her book is also with the crucifixion of our Lord at the Great Passion, right? With our Lord on Good Friday, and how humanity, really the worst parts of our species was seen on display, right? Going and crucifying a man on the cross, having a set trial, right? It was not very fair. It was set up, and it was so just set up to be a bad thing in a situation for a person that people were like, okay, let's just sacrifice this one guy so that way we save our nation. But it's like, oh my gosh, the thoughts of people at that time were just put to the brink of basically fear and anxiety. And then when the people realized after 3 days that Jesus was no longer in the tomb, it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening, right? And so the thing is, humanity will witness itself in its worst times in fear and panic. And when we look at the history books, when we look at the Bible and the stories, okay, when we look at how this connects back to the original virus, that loss of consciousness throughout the world, it's like, wow, humanity can still fall into that trap. We can become so fearful of when technology fails, or when there's an atomic bomb, nuclear situation that's going to put us all into a scare, a frenzy. And the thing is, how do we act? Do we act primal? Do we act without consciousness, right? Are we all into survival mode? Okay, now we want to survive, obviously, avoid the death, but the thing is, are we willing to break the rules now at that point in order to survive? And the thing is, I think humanity can still fall into that trap as rational people, rational animals, right? And so the thing is, philosophically, going beyond irrational and rationality of a species, how is it that the actions justify what we have to do in order to protect those that we love? And the thing is, I think the anxiety can really cloud our judgment in many actions, and I think that is where it connects to the original vice, the original virus that plagued the world. And so to break free of the virus, as we're slowly coming to know our Creator in different ways, depending on which religion or faith you are, I think that'll break that darkness and allow us to really work with each other, find the truths, set free from the evil side of our lives, our decisions and ideas, and really be role models for people that really need us to step up. And I think St. Hildegard is onto something. When we recognize the original virus, and when we find the cure in our Creator and are willing to change and become better people, to become more perfect, I think that's going to just save humanity in different ways. And so what do you think as far as the original virus? Okay, not just a plague, but this is really a virus that hit all of humanity. And the Catholic perspective will call it original sin, and how everybody has just lost that original innocence. But then thinking about, okay, when we recognize this with awareness now, are we willing to go all in with our Lord? Or are we still struggling? And I think to see beyond the Catholic perspective, everybody, are we willing to improve or settle? And I think if we're willing to improve, we can get so free of our past actions and live a healthy life, help other people, find a better job, find a better situation, relationships, and find a good group of people to be around that we're surrounded by with positive energy. And I think that is something to consider as far as avoiding the original virus. And so what do you think? What are your thoughts on the original virus of when Adam and Eve, after they bit the apple and now everyone's losing their consciousness from God, and now we're regaining it back, overcoming the darkness? Share your thoughts. What do you think? So that is for me, from Mike the MC. I hope this video finds you well today. Don't forget that we can always improve. We don't have to settle for evil. We can always improve to do good, and be brave and strong and courageous. It's going to be courageous for all of us if we're going to have to go against some positive thinking. But if we're willing to do that to help us and our families and to get out of our terrible situations, good luck to you. Be strong, courageous. Don't give up on yourself, and you got this. You got this, and you'll make the right actions for yourself in the moment when you're put to the test. All right, everyone. Hope this video finds you well today. Take care. Have a good one.